Hi everyone, welcome back to Brookdale Farm. Well, we're out in the back paddock at the moment near the salt patch down here. And we're just pulling out the remains of this old fence through here. We put some new fencing right around this clump of trees, but there was a fence line going down here. And I just thought that I would share some tips on how to get star pickets out. Now, these star pickets, this fence has been in here, I don't know, 25 years, something like that. Even though these are galvanised star pickets, they're fairly badly rusted. And what happens when the rust builds up on them, it actually expands and the rust is rough and expands into the ground. And this makes them incredibly hard to get out because they grip so tightly onto the ground, and you end up pulling dirt out with it. So you need to make the hole quite a lot bigger as you pull them out. Now, everybody's got their own techniques for getting these out, and I'm just going to share a couple of tips with you as to how I do it. So the first thing we're going to do to try and get this star picket out, we're just going to hammer it in a couple of blows with a sledgehammer, and this just helps to break any of the rust off the bottom in the ground. So we'll give it a couple of blows in, not too many. The next thing we want to do is to come along with the hammer and give it a couple of hits all round the bottom. This helps to loosen it up in the ground. And if you just keep working around it, this can make it much easier. Now, depending on what sort of ground you've got, this is clay here. But if sometimes you can pour a bit of water down around it as well, that helps to soften everything up. But in the clay, it can also make the clay expand again when it gets wet and just grip the picket even more tightly. Sometimes you will find in summer the clay contracts and the picket ends up being quite loose and is easy to pull out. Sometimes you're better off pulling them out in winter when the ground is a bit softer. Okay, next we're going to use our star picket puller, which is this device here that I've got set up to try and pull it out. Basically what this consists of is a long lever with a fairly short distance there, going onto a chain, down onto a heavy piece of metal. This one's just got a hole cut in it and drops over the top of the picket. When it twists, it locks onto the picket and hopefully pulls it out. This is a homemade one. You can buy them commercially. They're pretty much identical to this. Now, with the length of this lever, I can put somewhere between 500 and 700 kilos of lift on the star picket to try and get it out. So we'll have a go and see whether this one is going to cooperate today. Well, that ended up coming out very easily. I've really battled to get some of these pickets out. But that one, dead easy. Be careful with these star picket lifters. There's all sorts of places that they're going to bite your hands. It's a good idea to wear gloves with them. The chain's heavy. You get your fingers caught in there. Till you get used to them, just be careful. One of the other methods that is reasonably common, I've never had a lot of luck with it, but a lot of people like to use their kangaroo jack. So, chain's a bit long on this one. I've got a bolt through there with the chain hooked onto it, wrapped around there a couple of times, and a shackle through the hole in the star picket. Normally I find that I start to bend the pin on the shackle, so you can put a bolt through there instead and bolt a piece of chain on. That works a little bit better, but this is a way that a lot of people swear by. I haven't managed to get this star picket out yet with anything, and I've had a couple of goes at this one. This one's well rusted in. One other option is to wrap a chain around it, hook it onto the front end loader and use the front end loader to lift it out. Now if we wrap a chain around here, it will actually grip onto the star picket and allow us to just lift it out. But when we're wrapping the chain, we want to go round once with that one, round with that one, round with that one, round with that one. And the way that sort of overlaps and everything will actually grip onto the star picket and allow us to hopefully just lift it out of the ground. I'm just going to move the front end loader a little bit closer to the star picket and we'll give it a go and see what happens. That came out pretty easily. If your chain still slips up the star picket, you can always stick a bolt or a screwdriver through one of the holes, and that will just stop the chain sliding up. Pulling out old star pickets can be very hard work, and there are an awful lot of different ways to do it, and there's a lot of different things you can try. Hopefully these few tips have just made it a bit easier for some of you. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye!